looking for. Fantastic. So welcome to the webinar this afternoon, how anyone, yes, even you, can turn their skills into a service which can be sold online right now. So in order to do this, we start with the foundational pieces, and it's all about structure and clarity. How you take a concept, an idea, something that you do without even thinking about it, how you take that and you create a service or maybe a product that you can exchange for money from other people, whether that is B2B or B2C. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. We are in a time now where we have to create multiple streams of income. We have to be able to sell more than one thing. So what I mean by that is we have to be able to make money outside of and in addition to a 9-to-5 or a formal full-time or part-time employment. And so this is what we'll be looking at this afternoon. So right now, given the state of being and the state of the world, we've got, self-isolation, we've got social distancing happening, events are cancelled, diaries are empty, clients and contracts have been cancelled. People are feeling very dejected, and this could well be you. Maybe you're feeling confused, uncertain. You don't know what is going to happen next. And maybe even you've begun to doubt yourself and your abilities, your skills and your strengths. It's really super common for people to take a confidence knock when something sudden happens that affects their income. And some people are losing money. So maybe you have a business whereby you've lost a large chunk of income, or unfortunately, you have lost a job. Okay, and so therefore you need to fill in this income gap. So what we need in those situations and what we encourage is clarity within the chaos. Right now on social media, especially if you're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or God forbid, you are having people, cascade messages through WhatsApp, which have all these crazy theories about the virus, crazy theories about the government, etc. So sometimes when there is chaos and there's lots of noise, it can paralyze you. There's too much happening. You're consuming too much content that is distracting you from making very clear and measured plans to help you move forward. It's very interesting because there are various stages that happen in a moment like this, and reaction obviously is a very common one. Everybody has been reacting to what has been happening, but we have to move into a stage where we are adapting and moving forward despite that chaos, and that's what we look at in this webinar. So really and truly, there are three main priorities that we are recommending that we all look to. One is obviously an income plan. Okay, so if you need to be filling in income, now is the time to start thinking about that. Really important. Secondly, it's about developing your skills, developing your competencies, okay, so that you can offer something, whether that be in the job market moving forward, or indeed if you want to start offering services and products in exchange for money, i.e. maybe start contracting, freelancing, or starting your own business. So that's what we recommend here, about kind of upskilling yourself, using this time wisely. I imagine, and I'm pretty sure, that recruiters and hiring managers, when they start hiring again, will be asking, how did you spend your time? What skills did you develop? So really, we're going to talk about how you can sit down and honestly appraise yourself and where you're at, and look at what skills you could do with brushing up on and strengthening up, so that you can make sure you have a viable service to offer, either in the job market or if you're starting your own business. And then really the challenge here and a real focus does need to be on how you make sure you are known. So not necessarily famous, but you need to at least be known, whether that be in your job market, in the industry you're in, or as a business brand. How are you known? Does anybody else know who you are, what you do, and what you can offer? Because of course, unless people do know, they will not be able to basically opt in for your services. They won't necessarily approach you. People won't be able to recommend you unless they know what you do and what it is that you offer. Good news though, you can make money from your natural skills, strengths, and talents, okay? It's not over yet. Now is for the time for those who can really think clearly, in this noise, and make clear plans and act on those plans, even if it's one thing a day, to make progress so that you can offer a service in exchange for money. So the question is, do you know who you are? And when we really talk about this, we're not just talking about, what your favorite color is, your favorite food, etc. What we're talking about is, do you know who you are outside maybe of your job title? It's been really interesting recently to meet and talk with lots of people, virtually of course, who are now really unsure about who they are, what they have to offer, because they've been let go from a job. They've lost income, and now they're worried about the competition, about the number of other people who will be looking for work. Where can they find a job? Will they have to change sector? Who will hire them? Because maybe they've been doing a particular type of job for a very long time, and they're not sure whether or not this can translate or transfer into other industries, which maybe have more opportunities right now. So it's really important that you sit down and do a couple of things. One practical thing you can do is write down all of the things, so the projects, the initiatives, the achievements that you've had from your previous roles, okay? And really, we should all be doing this at least quarterly, if we don't have time to be doing it monthly, but on a quarterly basis, you should be doing some type of reflection, okay? Spending time reflecting on what you've done and what the results and outcomes have been. How have you contributed? What specific tasks or responsibilities did you have, and how did that contribute to an outcome on a project, on an initiative, or a piece of work you may have been working on? And it's really important that you are able to articulate and express those things on paper. What that does is it gives you a sense of confidence, because you can see what you've actually been working on, but it also opens your eyes and to what you've actually achieved and what you can now offer in the job market. And what you can do is pick and select out, okay, the transferable skills within those achievements, tasks, and responsibilities. And that helps you then start mirroring and aligning your skills, okay, with job adverts that might be out there, okay, or other opportunities that might be out there, or the needs that your maybe potential customers and clients currently have. So this activity is really important. You have to look and be creative and pick out your natural skills, talents, and strengths, not only within the confines maybe of your job role or what you spent the last year, 5 years, 10 years doing, but also in terms of your personality, the things that you do without even thinking about it, okay? The easy things that you do and the things that you enjoy doing. Bring all of those things together. Bring all of those things together, and that will help you create or decide on a particular service or product you can offer in exchange for money. Now, I'll give you a working example. For me, I have my foundational training is in the finance industry. Okay, studied law, finance industry. Now, throughout all of those job roles, during that phase of my career, I always did mentoring, teaching, and training. That didn't change when I started my own business. I continued to do training and teaching with my clients. And so that's something that I naturally do, I naturally enjoy, and I'm naturally good at. Now, had I not done this exercise of really thinking about what things have you been doing, what things have you enjoyed doing, and looked at the achievements and the initiatives and projects that was a key competency and skill, I wouldn't have been able to identify that actually I can sell my teaching in exchange for money, right? Now, of course, I've niched it down a bit further. I focus on helping people use virtual tools and platforms to be able to deliver services. So I've somewhat niched it down in terms of what it is that I teach. But without that activity, without going through that process, I would have actually been confined to what my financial job title was at the time, banking compliance consultant. And so I may have thought the only thing I can do really is review financial promotions, is, analyze reports from the regulator and then translate that information to my colleagues and the teams that I work with in terms of what that means, how that affects the business that we run. That would have been a very narrow approach and focus. But because I've actually looked at what my broad talent, strengths, and skills are, I'm able to map out a service I can offer in exchange for money. And even better, if I decide to go back into the workforce, into some type of employed payment, I will be able to actually pick out and articulate achievements, pick out and articulate results and income. So this is why it sounds a little bit woo-woo, but this is the part of the process that you can't skip over. Because if you do want to move into offering a service that you can actually sell online in exchange for money, you have to be far more creative, okay? You cannot limit yourself in terms of how your colleagues currently see you or the job title that you may have had, okay? You've got to think wider than that, because that is what the business market is now going to be expecting and needing from you. So once you've actually been able to write out what you can do, look, it can be as simple as somebody could be a great handyman. When I used to own a coffee shop, we needed a handyman every so often, right? And I, to be honest, never really checked, there were references, because obviously we'd pop into a local Facebook group and say, can anyone recommend a handyman? So apart from the social proof and maybe kind of recommendations, this is just a guy or woman who is able to fix the toilet seat, able to fix the lock on the toilet, able to paint the wall, put a shelf up. So when we talk about creating a service or an offer, it does not have to be rocket science. You don't have to be a brain surgeon, but it's about creating an offer or service which is relevant and needed now, okay? Because that is the key to being able to turn over money in exchange for a service. You have to also be aware of what the market is saying. So right now, in the time we're living in, people are looking at their hierarchy of needs, okay? So they're looking at things that speak to stability, safety, connection. Hence why we're seeing supermarkets are, devoid of toilet paper, etc., because for some reason, people have identified that food and toilet paper is key to their stability, feelings of safety. Okay, so really look in your market right now and think about what it is that it needs. What are people saying they want and need from you? Okay, and create a service that is aligned with that. Now, you can also do a few other things. There's a few other quick tips and tricks that we share here. One is look at the comments underneath posts. So in local Facebook groups, in industry specific groups, I always look at the comments, because in the comments, people are very vulnerable. They're very honest and transparent about how they're feeling, what they need, what they want, what their concerns are, what the challenges are. And that helps you as somebody who's looking to provide a service to create a service that meets those needs. The other option, for example, is reading the trend and forecast reports for your industry or for consumers, depending on what you want to offer and who you want to serve. That reveals what the industry is going to be investing money in. So, for example, it's safe to say that businesses on a whole will be investing money right now in team development, team wellness, how to adjust to remote working. Yeah. So when you look at those reports, you can see, okay, this is where the industry is going to be investing money. This is what they've identified as a matter of priority. And then you can start thinking about how you can create an offer or service which is relevant and needed now. Online right now, I'm seeing a lot of people learn how to become virtual assistants. So that's basically like a personal assistant, office manager, administrative tasks that can be delivered online, virtually, because we can see far more businesses are beginning to work remotely. Okay, so people are setting up businesses and services designed to support those businesses. So that is about horizon scanning. That is about understanding what's happening in your industry so that you can align a service that you can offer with those needs and stay relevant. So in order to do that, you need to get the facts over fear. You have to be doing the research. You have to be doing the work. Okay. You also have to be looking very transparently at what your strengths actually are. What is it that you're good at? What is it that you can do? And making sure that you're aligning yourself with that. Okay. Decide on your income goal. It sounds really practical, really boring, but you must decide on how much money you need to earn. Now, for some of you, you may well be doing this in addition to a job, part-time or full-time, or maybe to multiple other pieces of income. And that's okay, but it is really important to know the numbers. Decide on your income goal and work backwards from that number. So, for example, how many clients do you need to reach that goal? For example, if you would like to earn an additional £1,000 a month and you offer virtual administrative services, and you offer blocks of 5 hours at £99 as a starter package, or 5 hours at £150, how many clients would you need? How many bundles would you need to sell to be able to reach that goal? You have to be as detailed and planned as that in order to make this work. You cannot wing it. You cannot hope and pray it will work. You must have a clear goal financially. You must therefore create packages that are aligned with those goals. So maybe what it is, you think, you know what, I only want to work with 4 people a month. So what you do is you create a package that costs £250. And that way you only have to find 4 rolling clients a month, for example. Or maybe you want to offer monthly subscription type services where people pay you a certain amount per month, and then they get access to you for a certain number of hours, for example. So there's different structures, different revenue structures you can come up with, which is absolutely fine. But the main point is you must have a goal and you need to work backwards from that number. The next step is to choose a platform that you want to sell on. Now, it really differs depending on whether you want to sell to other businesses or sell straight to consumers. If you've got a product that is for consumers, then you might have to choose platforms where your potential customers exist, where they hang out, and where they're looking for a service like yours. If you're B2B, there may be platforms like LinkedIn, for example, that are better for you. So you need to decide who you're selling to, where they hang out, okay, and where are those people looking for your service. You choose a platform to show up on consistently and talk about how you help people. And this is really, really key. Although this webinar isn't about marketing per se, but the one thing I will say is you need to speak the language of the people who are looking for the service or product that you provide. What are their challenges, their problems, their issues? What problem do they want to solve? That is what you need to talk about, the benefits and the values of using you as a service provider or buying your product. That's always the key to get people to buy from you, is they need to be assured that you can solve their problem, and they're not always very concerned about the way you are going to solve it, i.e. the features of your service or product. So really think about, when you choose your platform, make sure you choose platforms that your customers are actually on. Do not choose platforms according to how popular the platform is, according to the fact that maybe other people are on there selling the same thing as you. You really need to narrow it down and make sure you're in the right place at the right time to reach the right people who are indeed your paying customers. You need to create a database of potential customers. So this is a big thing as well. People just go out and scattergun, kind of, talk to the congregation and hope somebody comes forward. Social media, for example, is just a tool. It's really important to identify and clearly know who your target customers are. Who is it that you can help through your product or service? You then create a list. When I'm talking about database, I'm not talking about anything jazzy. I'm talking about creating a list of people that you can contact. You just need a list. You can put it in a spreadsheet, a Google document, simple list with their contact details, who they are, email, number, etc. Do a little bit of research on them as well, depending on what you are selling. It's always good when people approach you with some understanding of who you are. Now, don't make assumptions or draw conclusions, but at least understand what it is they're selling, for example, or when was the last time they posted on social media? Have they been posting on LinkedIn about their business? Is there a latest development? Have you tried to interact with them at all on social media before contacting them? Okay, and don't forget to pick up the phone or use email. I know these are old school, old-fashioned methods, but they absolutely work. And there are ways of making what may be perceived as cold calling, cold emailing work. As I say, building relationships with people through social media, or go to an event where they're present and interact with them before you make an independent and separate point of contact. It's always good if you have actually met them in some way before, and you can kind of warm up, introduce yourself before you make an approach and develop the business relationship into, maybe making a sale. So that, in a nutshell, is how you turn your skills, your talents, and your strengths into a service, okay? You need to be super clear, first of all, about what you have to offer, okay? You need to do this work here and discover, be able to explore and express and articulate clearly what service you can possibly offer in exchange for money, okay? You make sure that that service or offer is relevant and needed right now in your market. And sometimes that requires a little bit of research, some listening, some observations. Decide on your income goal, okay? You need to take it step by step. What is it I want to earn? How much income do I need to bring in? And then you create a service that allows you to bring that income in. There's no point in selling things for £10 at a time when you actually need to make £1,000 a month. The numbers on that are crazy. You'd have to have at least, 10,000 people in your world who you're selling to make enough, from selling something for £10 a go. Choose a platform, choose a place that your actual potential customers are hanging out, okay? Because if you sell to, if you're trying to sell, I don't know, toothbrushes to, people who don't have teeth, it makes no sense whatsoever. Create a database, have a process so that you can track, monitor, analyze, and make changes to your sales process as appropriate. So that's it, really. We've come to the end of the webinar. Are there any questions from anyone whatsoever? Happy to take some questions on the material that we've just covered. Are there any questions out there?